Hello and welcome to the Election Corner on One Man Think Tank. Today we're going to be talking about the Iowa 2020 races. This includes Senate and presidency. Light talk about the House races and any local races, but we're mostly going to focus on the Senate and presidency because those two are properly up for contention. While in Iowa you can basically predict, most likely, Iowa districts 1 through 3 will go for the Democrats, while Iowa 4 will go for the Republicans. It's not super shocking. Iowa 4 is one of the most rural districts. We will start off by talking about, just looking at the current data for the Senate and presidential races. Because for the Senate election, it is very likely that it could be the linchpin between the Democrats getting 50 seats and 51 seats, while for the presidential election, it's a solid chance it will not be the deciding vote, really kind of indicate the swing of the nation during the presidential race. So starting off, you can actually see our most recent 3 polls, though they don't give us all of them on real clear politics. These are the most, in my opinion, honestly accurate pollsters out of the bunch. Monmouth showing Greenfield ahead by 3, New York Times Siena by 2, and the Des Moines Register Seltzer poll, which is considered the Iowa gold standard, shows Greenfield with +3 again. So it seems there's universal understanding on the margin, especially after watching Ernst lose points to Greenfield. There does seem to be a swing in her direction. However, the gold standard Seltzer poll does not seem to indicate similarly. However, I have heard they're probably going to put out another one this month, which could be the real final take. But right now we can say Greenfield is slightly the favorite and she'll win by a small margin. Possibly. We'll have to see. It's a matter of turnout, but we'll get to that in a moment. So right now, Iowa Senate slightly in Greenfield's category. Over to the presidency. Now this one's a lot more tense. As you can see, Trump winning that same Monmouth poll, which showed Greenfield winning against Ernst, is showing Trump actually in the lead for the presidential race. Well, we got another one from WOH-TV 13, which shows Biden in the lead, but I'm not going to give them too much credit because I haven't looked at that poll and I'm not aware of that pollster. The Siena poll gives Biden basically actually a little bit higher of a margin than it gave Greenfield versus Ernst. And the Des Moines Register poll shows them at a pure tie. Once again, gold standard. So what this says is the Senate race is more contentious than the presidential race. Or the presidential race is more contentious than the Senate race. But the Democrats look like they're more likely to pick up the Senate than they are the presidency. So, and as you can see, however, it has trended towards Biden. We got 2 Emerson polls really early out, which high favorables for Biden, but now no recent polls from Emerson. But Monmouth and Des Moines Register both show a race that is narrowing. As you can see, Trump's losing support in Des Moines Register, and now it's tied. And Monmouth shows something kind of similar, where it's about the same margin. So it's not getting more favorable to Trump, is actually a better way to say this. So, presidency, toss-up with slight favorability towards Trump. Now let's look past 5 presidential elections just very briefly. So what we'll do is we'll start with 2016 and work backwards and then jump back to 2016 just so you can see how this whole thing evolves. So here's 2016. Iowa went for Trump and Pence, as you can tell by all the red here. Now, keep in mind where the blue districts are, because that's going to be important in a bit, and we'll get into actual victory. The margin of victory by number isn't important, except for when we're comparing it to 2018, which we'll do in a little bit. 2012, Barack Obama won, clearly. And he took a lot of Iowa district, I believe that's District 1. But a good chunk of the area out here, all around down here, and if we go back to 2008, even more. 2014, they went for Kerry as opposed for Bush. But as you can see, the map is not as virulently blue as it would be for Obama, while in 2000, they barely went for Bush. And so if we reverse our map back, you can see getting more blue, then once Obama's elected, getting less blue very quickly. Now, here is the 2018 Senate results. Sorry, not Senate, gubernatorial results. As you can see, this map, if we do percentage, it's very close overall, but we'll just do hard colors by who won. It looks very similar to our 2016 map. This area, this area, this area, and this area go blue. Well, here it expands slightly. We get some more support down here and a little bit up here. Now, for those of you who don't know Iowa geography, this is a perfect map of all of Iowa's cities sans Sioux City. Literally. Because over here you've got Omaha, but that's not really going to factor much into a Des Moines race because the Cedar Falls area isn't that included. But here you have Des Moines, the greater Des Moines area in Polk County, and up here you have basically a sister city to it called Ames. Here you have the Cedar Rapids, Iowa City area. Up here you have a populous area called Waterloo, Dubuque, the Quad Cities, and then Burlington. These are Des Moines' big areas. So first off, just looking at the numbers, this was close despite what the map shows. So we've got showing Iowa is really sinking into this urban-rural divide, and this has been reinforced during the Trump years. So let's actually go to the full Wikipedia article just because it gives us the popular vote. So actually, Democrats basically got the exact same numbers they got in 2016 at about 630 votes. So, well, here it's about 650. Well, thousands, of course. Well, Trump got 800,000 versus Kim Reynolds only getting 667,000. That is a drop of basically 140,000 votes. What happened? Why did this change? Well, one, you have presidential election year. Let's actually go back to 2012 just to compare numbers. Barack Obama actually got 800 that year, while Mitt Romney got 700. So there was a drop in turnout for Clinton, plus some switching voters. Well, if we look at the midterm, smaller turnout, but it seems that the Democrats have about a floor of 630, 650, while Republicans seem to have much of the same. Going back to 2008 is a bit unfair, but it was almost a complete reverse of what happened in 2016 or 2016, but lower turnout for both candidates, indicating a high turnout Iowa race favors the Democrats ever so briefly. You know what? Don't think you should check for new results. Don't think anything new's coming out. Sorry, side note. But Iowa is cementing around these urban areas. And the GOP barely won in that scenario. So how can we associate this back to our 2020 races? Well, for the presidency, it's really clear that at the end of the day, the urban-rural divide does not fully break for Biden. It breaks for Trump ever so slightly, probably giving us a slightly more blue version of this map. So a combination of this and this. Maybe it doesn't flip Dubuque or Burlington, but we do get a bit more of the Quad Cities, and Des Moines and Ames look more blue. Well, for the Senate race, so Joni Ernst is in many ways standing in as a proxy for Kim Reynolds, who has become stupidly unpopular with how she's handled COVID and the derechos. So, I really don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Derecho? I should probably just ham it up, yeah. But Joni Ernst is functioning as kind of a stand-in, as a female Republican who's unpopular in the state overall, but also isn't Donald Trump. Ernst really doesn't have that distinctive a personality when compared to Kim Reynolds. So what I'm wondering is, if we'll see a slightly bluer version of this map for the Senate race, while a slightly redder version for the presidential race. And if you want to see why it's so contested, let's look at the margins again. White means less than 10%. So these areas went less than 10% for the Democrats, but a lot of these areas, including Sioux City and just outside of Omaha, were below 10% for the Republicans for the most part. Just over 10% actually for both of these, but that's not a good place to be for the Republicans, because if there's higher turnout for the Democrats, that's almost a guarantee flip for the Senate. Well, the presidency is going to probably come down to ground game, and does the presidential map look closer to this, or look closer to this? With all that being said, if you like the video, click the like button and the like button. Like and drop a comment down below. I'm always curious to hear your guys' opinions, especially if you're from Iowa this time around. If you want to see more from the channel, click the subscribe button and the notification bell so you can be alerted when new content comes out. If you want to hear more from me outside of YouTube, I do have a Twitter, @OneManThinkTan1. You can find the link down in the description below. And, as always, and most importantly, have a wonderful day.